Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. Tis I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. Hello, DJ. What's up, man?
Hey, man. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm ready for a week of superhero insanity.
Superhero madness.
It's gonna be crazy. Well, I say a week. It's actually gonna be another couple weeks, cause I felt relieved when we got finished with WandaVision, and I was like, okay, now all I've got is the Snyder thing, is the Snyder Cut thing, and then I'm done with Snyder. I'm done with like brand new superhero stuff for a while, and then I was like, oh wait a minute, I forgot. Also, Falcon Winter Soldier's about to drop, so we're gonna have to do a how we felt about on the first episode or two of that. We may wait until the first two episodes drop at this point, and that'll give us a little bit more meat on the bone to talk about too. So that might not be until next week. Next Sunday probably is my guess right now. Not this Sunday, but the following. But anyway, and then I was thinking, and DJ knows what I'm about to say, so I gotta figure out how to watch the Snyder Cut twice in a weekend and Endgame.
That's how it worked out, people.
What have we done? How did the schedule happen? And DJ, I'm sorry, don't take this the wrong way, but I blame you for getting sick at Christmas. That's really the culprit of this, because we're a month behind on Marvel Mania, and if only we'd have done it already. But then I would have had Endgame in the middle of writing a behemoth BVS, 4-part review, and that wouldn't have been good either. So this is probably
no better.
The lesser of two evils.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. I don't know. But yeah, this Friday, Snyder Cut watch party. It's gonna be interesting.
I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm curious to see what the crowd for that looks like.
Yeah, I think people will be excited to watch it with us. I'm wondering how many people will wait for us, because I think it comes out like the day before.
It does. Hopefully. It comes out the day before. I had considered replacing the Captain Logan show with the watch party originally, and Austin wanted to be there, and it was easier for his schedule if we did it on Friday. So that's the reason we're doing that. There will be a Superhero Rewind on Friday, even though it's not going to premiere when it usually would. I think I'm going to just upload that one and not actually premiere it. So I'll upload it early, because very few people are really going to care that much about that one, so I don't think it makes as much sense to premiere. It's a Lego Justice League movie, and it's my favorite of those, and I think it's really fun, and it's got some really great comic satire in it, but I was only able to get one person to do a tweet-length review for that, contrasted with the 15 to 20 on Patreon that did BVS and Justice League. But anyway, so that's going to drop early in the day on Friday, and then that evening we're going to do the watch party for the Snyder Cut. Once again, for folks that have not gotten the memo on that's not going to be a commentary. It will be a blind watch, so everybody in the call in the panel will be people who have not seen it yet. Obviously, if you want to watch it ahead of time and then watch it with us again, because you just have a ton of time on your hands or nothing better to do, feel free, but please don't. I mean, I think it'll be more fun for you if you get to experience it along with us for the first time, so that's what I'm encouraging people to do. But if you want to see it ahead of time, please just don't spam comments and tell us anything that happens in the movie. If I start seeing any spoilers of any kind, I will be having to eject people. So I don't I don't want to be like a Nazi about it, but it's not a thing that we can have, because the whole point is to get to experience it together and react to it. And then I'm gonna have to watch that again over the weekend, so that I've had an unfettered watch without anybody talking over it. Because we're not gonna do like I said, a constant commentary, but I'm sure occasionally somebody will throw out a joke in a comment or something, and they'll be laughing and crying and spilled milk, I'm sure. But then Sunday we're gonna do the spoiler cast for that. So a really heavy week, and then next week, not quite as heavy, but still quite a bit going on. Like I said, we'll do how we felt about for Falcon Winter Soldier, and we'll do the Endgame Marvel Mania, and then we've only got 2 more Marvel Manias after that, which is sad. What we have to do right after that. This is going to be the last big hurrah, and then it kind of peters out.
Well, we have Far From Home, and then we have the 2
Far From Home. I think it's because we forgot about Far From Home for a second at the end of that last one when we did Captain Marvel, and in my head I've had just your voice saying, "Ah, crap! All we got left is 2 not great X-Men movies."
Yeah, we at least got 3, so that'll be something. But we're still gonna finish with those 2 X-Men movies.
I meant to put up a poll on YouTube, and I'll mention this now, so feel free to throw these in the comments. And DJ, if you see anything cool throughout the show, feel free to throw it out. I would love suggestions for eventual other possible manias. I'm not saying for sure that we'll ever do another thing like that besides Marvel Mania, but if I see something that just blows my mind, eventually I could see us doing another one. Because right now the plan is for DJ and I to keep doing commentaries every other week. It just won't be all Marvel movies. It'll be whatever we feel like doing. And we'll probably go back to occasionally doing surprise ones, mystery ones, because I liked that. That was fun. Nobody knows what they're getting, and then suddenly it's Toy Story. People got angry about Justice League because they were like, "Yo, you have to tell us what you're doing Justice League." But I enjoyed that. That was fun for me. And then we'll probably do some some blind watches on that stuff that one or the both of us haven't seen. And we'll do the streaming wars thing where we'll pick things from different streaming services. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll just bounce around, do all kinds of different commentaries. But DJ, if we're already doing a couple commentaries a month, it's going to be no skin off our back if we see a brilliant notion for another Mania to just get into another Mania at some point. I want to do several just random things before that, but I thought I'd ask you about that, and if you thought that was just the worst thing in the world. I think it could be cool if somebody throws out the right thing.
I think so too, yeah. Let us know your ideas, guys. We're up for it.
So anyway, welcome to the program. Thanks a lot for being here. If you're watching live, thanks for watching after the fact if you're doing that. Seeing lots of folks in the comments. There's Anime. Hi there. Cal L is there. TH1. Hi, Tom. Dimwit Monkey. Blue Dragon 5 is in there. John Ty. John Kelling. Roheath. Hi, guys. What's up? And that's without scrolling up. Tonight, we're going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show. Last Thursday, I called it Calm Before the Storm. This is kind of Calm Before the Storm 2, because we had the beginning of the storm, and then we're going to have a lot more storm at the end of the week. What I meant by that was lots of big content we've got to talk about on the channel all of a sudden. And it feels more overwhelming because we had a whole year of nothing new. I think that's why it feels like such an event right now.
Yeah, we got complacent. And now we're thrown right back into the fire.
Some people are speculating as well, and I don't have a dog in this because I've not been looking at reviews, but there are apparently lots of positive early reviews for the Snyder Cut. That always happens with new things. I always take that with a grain of salt, especially like the Twitter commentaries, the Twitter reviews. I always take that with a grain of salt. But some people are speculating that a lot of people are giving that movie positive reviews just because it's been so long since they've had any new superhero movies to review, and they're just excited that they get to look at something, and because they're comparing it to the theatrical cut, and no matter how bad that movie might be, it has to be more interesting than that. I don't know if it would be better. Remember at the end of my Justice League rewind, I said I don't know which is worth like which is worse, like a boring slog that doesn't make any sense, or just straightforward 2 hours of nothing all that memorable. So I gave them both the same score. I kind of expect the same thing with this. I hope it blows my mind. I hope I walk away from that going, oh my god, it's actually really great. How in the world is that even possible? I hope that's what happens. As I've said before, I do not expect that, and if I end up getting what I think I'm going to get, I'm going to agree that a lot, like I think so far 76% on Rotten Tomatoes is the last number I heard. I've not gone and looked, but Austin told me that, so I'm going to assume that a lot of those reviews are yay, things to review, and it was actually different than the theatrical version. People who are still saying it has to be exactly pretty much the same movie is bonkers to me. Like, I don't understand that. It's 2 hours longer. How could it possibly be the same movie? And we keep seeing images of things that weren't in that movie. Like, we've got Darkseid with Omega beams. It can't be the same movie. It's not possible.
Hey, in case you didn't get enough, Jan Hendrik Vander Morwe says Zack Snyder Mania. JK.
Oh, well, I've already done that.
You've done half of it.
I just wrote it.
Well, we wanted to do Watchmen anyway. And then what else is there? Sucker Punch 300.
Oh, that would be crazy, though. And then would you do
Legends of the Guardians, Owls of Ga'Hoole?
And then would you do, like, the 300 sequel, even though he had nothing to do with it, just because it's part of that continuity? Like,
yeah, Snyder adjacent.
Snyder adjacent. So that means you would have to do, which movies of the DCEU would you have to do then? Just everything that was made while he was the Kevin Feige?
Oh, I guess so. I don't know. Yeah, because he was involved with Wonder Woman a little bit.
Yeah. If you say Jason and Suicide Squad.
That's true.
Or
Oh,
if
never
he
mind. That
wasn't,
sounds
they
like a
were
terrible
looking at
idea.
him hard. I mean, Suicide Squad has a lot more to do with him than Wonder Woman does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
He was kidding, so I'm not gonna.
That
I'm
that
not
is
gonna
not
do
my first choice.
that. Yeah, give us some other ones.
Okay, so let's what, we'll do a real quick lead-in topic. So quick plug for the new Discord. We have two Discords now. Geekvolution has a Patreon Discord that is basically like Discord After Dark that you can get into at the $5 tier. But we just opened a public Discord just a couple days ago, and it is already hopping. DJ, I don't know if you've been in there yet. We have over 70 people in the Discord already, and it has been really active, really lively. I want to thank everybody who's gone in there and participated and made that community happen. It is a PG Discord, so you don't have to worry about profanity and vulgarity and things like that. I have moderators in there making sure that none of that is happening. And we have rules. We have a warning system. So if folks are not compliant with that, we are blocking people if we have to. We've not had to do that yet. Everybody's been really great about it so far. So thanks to everybody who's been in there. We have a bunch of channels in there, a bunch of text channels about various topics, most of them connected to shows we do here on the channel. So we have a Comic Vault channel that is all about comics, and we have a Superhero Rewind channel that is all about superhero movies. There's a Star Trek Club channel, etc., etc. So each of those clubs is not, you don't have to just chat about the shows we do. You chat about the topics that we do in those shows. And when we first set that up, I kind of thought maybe everybody would just go to the general chat and ignore all of the different hubs. But every time I go in there, most of them are lit up with new content. Like people have been in a lot of those and using them, and it's fantastic. We have one that allows you to put up links to songs that you recommend. So people are just kind of making a playlist in there of cool songs to check out. So it's really lively, and it's I don't like DJ with this Discord. I feel like finally, in a way, Geekvolution is what it always should have been, because it's a bunch of people chatting about every kind of media under the sun, and it's really neat. So anyway, check that out if you are so inclined. The link to get in there, it is an open Discord, so if you click on the link, you'll be able to get in immediately without approval, and it is on various places in all of our social media right now. So I put up another post about it yesterday. It's on Facebook. It's on the YouTube social media section. But let me go ahead and read the topic that somebody in there was wanting me to open with this evening, because there wasn't any big news. You can also post news links. Where did it go? You can also post news links in the news link tab on the Discord, and that helps me know what things maybe I should be talking about on the Captain Logan show. But nothing big and major this week. So this one comes from Rodhar95, who suggested that we open the show talking about he says 13 minutes into the show, about the future of superhero television, with shows coming out from both DC and Marvel through HBO Max and Disney Plus, as well as independent superhero shows on Amazon Prime and Netflix. And we can do a little bit of that. We've obviously been tackling that topic a lot lately, and so I don't want to just get in the weeds and repeat myself too much, get too circular with this. But the main thing that came to mind when he asked us to talk about that, DJ, is the not just the movie theater question, because we've been talking about that a ton, of course, but the question of if what looks like is probably going to happen ends up happening, where TV becomes more important than it ever has. TV meaning both broadcast, but especially streaming services, and certain companies might continue to put their movies out simultaneous, and we might get to a place where basically TV and movies are almost the same thing. But even before that happens, where the Marvel shows are going to actually count and be more important than they have been before, not just because they're in continuity, but they will inform the movies. Do you think that it might become more competitive with things outside of DC and Marvel? Like, is it going to be more difficult for independent properties to compete in that world where suddenly like the actual MCU is competing and not just peripheral shows, and the actual DCEU on HBO Max might be competing and it's not just peripheral shows. Is that gonna increase the output of new superhero shows outside of the big two, or is it gonna have people packing their bags more? That's a question.
It is possible, because that's kind of what happened with movies. Like, you couldn't make superhero movies anymore if they weren't a part of some big, huge universe after that. Like, DC was trying it. And obviously Fantastic Four was trying to get there, Fan Four Stick, but they didn't even get off the ground. But so, yeah, I could see the same thing happen with TV. I know we got some things coming. We got Invincible, I think someone said comes out this week.
Right.
The pilot for that comes out.
And Amazon's got, a good section carved out right now because they have The Boys, and they're going to have that. And so, I don't know, Amazon could become the image of broadcast, or not broadcast, but of streaming television, if you think about it. Like, that's where the independent stuff goes. That's where all the stuff that's not big two, that doesn't have to be in the same universe, all shows up and people pay attention to it. And if that happens, I hope they'll bring the tick back at some point.
Yeah, they should. They need something. But we also have MODOK, which is a weird outlier. That's Marvel and not MCU. I think that might be the last one. Gifted and the other ones have all ended, right?
Yeah, but MODOK's weird because it's not going to be MCU proper, but it's still made by like Marvel and not like Fox Marvel when Fox was still its own thing. Like that one gets kind of weird.
Yeah, but I think it can get away with it because it's like a comedy show, like a Robot Chicken kind of show. So nobody would assume that it would be.
Did you see the trailer for that?
I did.
Not my sensibilities whatsoever.
No, I'm not an adult animation guy.
Yeah, nothing about that was funny to me. I didn't get. I got the obvious Robot Chicken vibes, but I was like, Robot Chicken has the versatility to do sketches of any kind of thing it wants to make fun of and parody, and that feels so limited to me to do that kind of a show that is about like a singular character and kind of create a world, but a farcical one. Like, I might give it a shot, but that seems like a really difficult thing to pull off.
Yeah, I don't know. It was also very, very short, so that could be either good for it, or maybe that's bad for it. That's all the funny parts they could put in a little teaser. I don't know.
Well, I would assume that it will also be a short show, right? That looks like a 10 or 15 minute show to me. I bet that's not 20 minutes to half an hour. Maybe, but like, is it true stop motion or is it fake stop motion with computer animation? I couldn't tell.
Probably, I would assume it's like the Lego movie thing.
Yeah. I bet that's what that is. I couldn't tell. I watched it one time like a week ago, and I feel like when I was watching it, I knew. And right now, I'm not remembering. I think it's more that.
Yeah, I think it was.
But yeah, it's very like mid 2000s Adult Swim. Not just the Robot Chicken thing, but also things like the Brack Show or a Harvey Birdman or something like that. Is what it looked like to me. Daniel Davis, it looks like crass humor for the sake of crassness. Yeah, but I said the same thing about the Harley Quinn show, and I ended up being pleasantly surprised by that. I don't really expect this to have that kind of sophistication.
Oh, I'm glad you just brought up Harley Quinn, because that's one way that they could do things, outside of MCU and DC Universe, because the animated stuff.
Yeah.
They'll always keep that stuff going. What If is coming out soon, next year? I don't know exactly when.
Yeah, that was a conversation I had with Bag and a couple other people on the Discord. You're probably going to hear me bring up the Discord a lot because we're having these kinds of conversations over there off camera. But we were talking about the notion of Marvel doing more animation stuff, and I know... I feel like I've heard you say this, DJ, but maybe not. But other folks complaining that it's weird that Marvel hasn't been throwing their hat in the animation ring for a long time. As far as like direct to video stuff, they haven't been competing with the DC stuff forever, and it's very strange. And Bag or somebody was like was suggesting that they probably wouldn't do any like standalone animated movies, but I think they could, even if they don't go to theater, like probably not stuff that would be in the MCU unless they come up with other ideas like What If that just make sense to be animated. I'm always weird about animated things being in the same continuity as live action. I kind of don't want that. What If is its own thing, is different because A, I don't know how else you make that show, and B, it's canonical in the sense that they have a multiverse, but it's not canonical in the sense that those alternate universe stories have no bearing on the rest of the MCU. So I'm very cool with it there. It's the only way you'd ever get it, and personally, I like the animation style so far, what we've seen of it. I think it looks cool. But I could see them, especially because of Spider-Verse, because I remember this. Bag also suggested maybe we answer the question, like, what other, and we could do this, what other properties would be cool to see in an animated movie like they did Big Hero 6, and I think he was thinking you'd have to pick something that they're not already doing in the MCU, but I don't know that you would because Spider-Verse was so successful, and I know that was Sony making that, but I could see Marvel, outside of Sony, looking at that and going, well, let's do more features on Disney Plus with characters that people want to see more stuff of, but that we can't get a movie of out every 3 or 4 years. And that would also be a way to keep, I just thought of this, to keep making adventures starring characters that are out of the MCU now. If Marvel would go to animation, they could, and again, these would not be things connected to the MCU, and they wouldn't even, and this would be nice, they wouldn't even have to be those versions of those characters at all. They could start looking at the comics again more, and you could have some Tony Stark stories and some Steve Rogers stories again. In fact, the more I'm talking this out, DJ, I think they need to do that.
Yeah, I don't know why that wouldn't be your first thought. You used to do it back in like the mid 2000s, and then DC's been doing it the whole time. Whenever a movie comes out that you say, oh, I wish, like Kevin Feige in interviews all the time says, like, I wish we could do this idea, but we can't fit it in, or we don't have the means to do it, like Hulk movies or anything. I know there's some rights with that, but anything else besides that where they want to do something but they can't do it in the MCU, just make an animated movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know that there are rights issues with Hulk when it comes to video, because I don't know if that's just box office distribution as opposed to direct to video or streaming. I would assume the rights are different.
If that's true, yeah. Why don't you make another Hulk movie? They made that Planet Hulk movie
and Hulk versus.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't do well. I don't know. Maybe they don't think it's justified.
Well, that's what I was going to say, and those are probably numbers that we could find. I know that the numbers for how well all of the DC direct-to-video movies do is on the record publicly, and you can find that on a Wikipedia article. And there may be something similar with the Marvel movies, but I think it's just a matter of inconsistency if they're not doing well, because the DC ones come out at least twice a year and have going all the way back to 2007. I don't think we've had one year where they didn't put out at least two and of something, of some kind. And that's not even counting like the more kiddie stuff, the Lego series, the Lego Justice League series, or Superhero Girls, or some of the crossovers they've done, like Batman Ninja Turtles, Brave and the Bold, Scooby-Doo. Those things don't actually count with this. We're talking about the specifically exclusively the in-house PG-13 to R aimed at adults direct-to-video DC animated movies. That's its own line, and even when it didn't have its own continuity, there were at least 2 of those coming out every year, and then it had a continuity, and now it's up in the air as to whether Man of Tomorrow is starting a new shared universe or not. There's been a lot of speculation about that, because apparently the next movie they're doing kind of looks like it's in a similar animation style, but if it's the same people making it, I could see that happening. Like, just because Bruce Timm's team changed the animation style for every movie they did doesn't mean this one's gonna do that, so there's really no telling. I'm not sure, but I'm just saying that there was a consistency there. So those have never sold really well. We're talking I think $1 million total for most of those is about how well those do, and but there is a consistent group of people that buy those, and so they can at least count on a bottom dollar that they'll always sell with those. They never go under a certain amount, no matter how bad they are, no matter what character they are, or at least they rarely go under a certain amount. So I mean, The bottom amount, I think, is even less than $1 million, but I don't know what those cost to make. Clearly less than that. Or at least that's the number I'm remembering. Maybe I'm completely off base here, and they make more than that. But if memory serves, that's about what they do. It's just been a while since I've researched that. I've had to look that up for various rewinds. But anyway, I'm just saying that I'm getting off the beaten path here. What I'm saying is the Marvel movies have not had that whenever they've done animated. They've been hit or miss. They've been random. They've been different houses, different studios, different groups putting those out, I think. And even if not, even if it's always been the same set of people, they don't come out very often. So
yeah, it's been a long time. I mean, I wish that's where, I mean, maybe they're worried about mixed branding and then with Disney and everything, but I wish they did exactly what Disney was doing, and that's where their hard PG-13 R-rated stuff went. That's not for kids, because
absolutely
there's so many stories they can't adapt in the MCU. Put it there. Have a line. Put it on Hulu or something.
And it would be, if they were good, and that's the obviously that's the key word. That's the main thing you got to be concerned about, because the DC line for a long time wasn't mostly, while we also had the DCEU that a lot of people weren't happy with, so it was you're getting kind of kicked when you were down. But if the Marvel ones, if they put out animated Marvel movies and they were good, it would be an alternative for people that want something more comic booky and feel like the MCU is too watered down and too for the masses. They could give us something. They could give us things directly adapting comic stories like DC has tried to do to varying degrees that we've hardly done with Marvel. We got Planet Hulk. That was about it. Like,
they did.
Where's your Fear Itself movie? Where's your Secret Wars movie? Where's et cetera, et cetera. And then, like you were suggesting a minute ago, you could take characters that they're about to start adapting and do a very faithful comic version of that to sell it. Like, before they put out a Moon Knight series, do that Moon Knight movie, And if the Moon Knight Disney Plus thing ends up not being what Moon Knight fans want, maybe the animated movie is closer to that.
Yeah, and I wish they would have. I mean, me personally, I wish they would have kept. They did those two Ultimates. They called them Ultimate Avengers, a little bit based on Ultimates, different stories. But right. I wish they had kept an Ultimate line going, done some Ultimate X-Men movies and some Ultimate Spider-Man movies.
Ultimate Spider-Man, yeah.
Do that stuff. I don't know why they didn't. Again, maybe those movies did terrible and they just got scared away, but I don't know.
Yeah, because the animation was okay and the voice acting was good, and those were a little hit and miss. I mean, I like things about them, and I don't like other things about them. But it would have been a fine place to start a universe. That second movie introduced Black Panther, and that was the whole point of that movie. And as we're doing that, we could just keep introducing people, and then you could have an Ultimate Daredevil, and there's all kinds of cool stuff you could have done.
Yeah.
Daniel Davis says that's smart thinking, which is why they may or may not do it. But there's a little bit of opening discussion about the future of superhero TV and the animation side. We're about half an hour into the show. Let's go ahead and start answering questions. Feel free to chat with us about those ideas or anything else you want to tonight. It can be comic related, superhero movie related, Star Trek, science fiction, whatever you feel like talking about. It does not matter. We'll talk about whatever.
I should have got this out earlier, but
oh yeah,
they actually released this Blu-ray set, which is all of their Marvel animated movies, and I had it right here the whole time, and I could have referenced it for dates and stuff.
Half of those are mediocre to terrible.
Yeah, I remember liking the Doctor Strange one. I remember not trying to get through the Iron Man one twice, and I couldn't.
Everybody hates that. I've been avoiding it forever on Rewind. The Doctor Strange one was a mixed bag. I liked things about it, but I don't know. I think I gave that a 2.5 maybe.
The last one in this series was Thor. Tales of Asgard. I never tried that one, but
yeah, I've never seen that.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll jump into some questions.
The only animated thing with Thor in it that I saw was Hulk Versus. That had a Thor story in it, if memory serves.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah, one was Thor and one was
Deadpool, and one was Thor.
Thor and Hulk, but Deadpool was in one of them. I remember that.
Well, yeah, it was called Hulk Versus. Hulk's going to be in all of them.
Oh yeah, no, sorry.
Wolverine was in Wolverine too.
Is what I meant.
I think maybe it was Wolverine and Deadpool in the same one. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, Deadpool was in the Wolverine one.
Oh, was that like a Weapon X story and Deadpool shows up in it? Is that what it was?
I think so. I only watched it once, but yeah, the Thor Tales of Asgard was 2011. Was the last
one of the first times anything like comic accurate Deadpool showed up in anything animated. And I forget
Yeah.
who voiced him. Was that Nolan North, or maybe it was?
Maybe so.
I think it
And then
was.
there's Next Avengers. Yeah, I remember that one.
I never
All
saw
right.
that.
Oh, someone recommend it.
I have not done a rewind on that yet. Yeah, I've been doing more animated stuff lately because I'm trying to catch up because there's so many animated movies now, and I've barely dipped my toe in, and there's reasons for this, into the New 52 inspired animated universe because most of those movies are mediocre to terrible in my mind, and I'm not looking forward to having to go through all of them. I think the only one I've really done is the Aquaman one. The Throne of Atlantis movie, just because somebody requested that for the 12 Days of Rewind almost 3 years ago now. And I've never done the beginning of that. I've never done Flashpoint Paradox. So when I finally get to those, I don't know if I'll do them in order. DJ, there's a part of me that wants to do them like 2 or 3 at a time. I almost don't want to devote separate videos to each of those movies, but...
Yeah, just bundle them together. It's fine.
There's a few things like that I thought about doing, like Batman Unlimited, because there's no meat to those at all. They're just kids playing with action figures, and the first 2 were fun. The third one's awful, but the first 2 were really fun. But there's nothing in them. Like I can do a 5-minute rewind on each of the. Well, no, I can't. I'm incapable of that.
You're
anyway.
incapable. All right, CM Productions.
Hi there.
Can't make it live tonight, but wanted to leave some money and a question.
Oh, hi there later then. Yes, thank you for the donation. What can we chat with you about, person who isn't here anymore?
What Marvel villain would you like to see go up against a DC superhero?
What Marvel villain would you want to see go up against a DC superhero? Let me think. And DJ, if you get to it before me, throw something out.
That's such an open-ended question. Those are the
I know.
hard ones.
That's why I'm trying to come up with something really good, really spicy.
DC superhero. I don't know those.
So Marvel villain to DC superhero, right?
Yeah, I think I got to start with the DC superhero.
Yeah.
And no, I could start with the villain and then see who would go with that villain, I guess.
I'm thinking Doctor Doom versus Superman.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, have Superman have to face someone who's like a king, kind of that President Lex thing, but just not be able to swoop in and like beat the life out of Doctor Doom because he's actually a king. Although maybe make Doctor Doom like a ruler that they actually like.
Yeah. Well, and Doctor Doom has often magic connections, and Superman doesn't do well with magic.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you could make it a Lex Luthor-esque story too. Yeah, like you basically make Doctor Doom like Lex Luthor with that outfit and powers. Yeah. But like Doctor Doom's cool in his own right. I don't really mean that. I'm just saying that he would be a really good stand-in for Lex Luthor in a Superman story. Yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind. But I feel like we could do this all day. I just want to make them really good.
Yeah, we could throw out a bunch, but we want to give you a really good answer. Cap just wrote it.
I want yeah, I'm having a hard time not going the other way. I keep sitting here going like I want to find, like Silver Surfer versus Darkseid or something.
Wow,
I'm having a hard time not going the other way.
Quite the Snyder fest. Yeah, I mean, I want to do. Of course, I want Riddler versus Daredevil, but that's the other way.
Yeah, that's the other way. Yeah, why is it harder to do it the way he asked the question? That's so weird. Well, let's pick some major DC superheroes and then pit. Let's start with the superheroes. I think you're right. I think that's easier, and then pit some villains against them. So, who do we have Batman go up against, or even like a Bat family story?
Venom.
Venom? Okay, sure.
That would make no sense.
Batman versus Kingpin is kind of right there.
That's good.
That's maybe kind of Bullseye.
Batman. Well, I Punisher's not a villain, but that would be an interesting story.
Can be, yeah. Well, and there was a Batman. There were 2 Batman Punisher crossovers. I'm sure they weren't very good, but
they should be though. There's some good stuff there. Yeah, that's a good Spider-Man villain. Kingpin's kind of that.
And then let's see. We'll say the Teen Titans as a team versus Mr. Sinister.
There we go. Teen Titans versus Deadpool.
559 says Green Lantern versus Dormammu. That's cool. Scarlet Witch versus Zatanna. says Professor Zoom. Yeah, that's kind of right there. If Scarlet Witch is the villain in that story, but she kind of can be. Uh, Chris Dogden, Electro versus Black Lightning. Yep, I see what you did there. That's pretty cool.
Flash versus Venom. That's interesting. Orlok, Blackwater. Namor versus Aquaman. Says
See,
Jedi
I
Knight.
think Venom loses immediately up against Flash, because how hard is it for Flash to basically use his vibration to create a sound that Venom cannot handle?
Wonder Woman versus Kraven.
Oh, that's good. Sure, yeah. But then that makes me want to do a story where, like, Kraven and Cheetah get together.
Yeah, yeah. She could team up with.
Like, as a team up and as lovers. Like, they get married, and then they go attack Wonder Woman. It'd be fantastic.
That would be pretty cool. All right, shall we?
Senior Nerd, Magneto versus Steel. Well, obviously Steel is dead immediately. But I don't like doing who would win in a fight, so this is not that. This is simply who would be fun to see in a story together. Let's keep going, DJ.
Loki versus Wonder Woman would be cool, says Roheath. All right, Jedi Knight. What if Superman landed in 1920s Ireland?
That's very specific. I don't know a lot about 1920s Ireland. Is that later than... That's later than the potato famine, right? I was going to say, he like, tries to fix the potato famine. Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I don't know. I mean, he would be raised differently, certainly.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's a stumper.
There's good, wholesome Irish values too. Like, I don't think he would necessarily grow up and be terrible just because he landed in Ireland and not America. I don't think Superman has to land in America to become Superman necessarily. That's not me saying, I want to take the American way part out of necessarily truth, justice, and the American way. But I think that there is plenty of other, approaches and sensibilities that would still get him there potentially.
And I think that would be interesting to take Superman and have a writer who understands a different culture write him in a different culture just to see the differences and compare and contrast. And
of course we've done that. I mean, that's what Red Son is. But it would be interesting to see a more nuanced. No, don't watch that. Read the book. The movie is the worst. Yeah, don't do that because it's not the same story and it's awful and it's terrible. But no, that is one of Mark Millar's better stories. I like it a lot. I think it's super popular and it's kind of overblown. Like it's become one of those like 4 or 5 stories that people can name off the top of their head, which is weird because a lot of Elseworld stories aren't that way. It's just isn't it interesting to see the Superman raised by communists? For obvious reasons, of course it is. But I think it would be cool to do a nuanced story where he's raised with slightly different values, but still essentially becomes Superman. Although one of the things that's great about Red Son is that. Spoiler slightly for that, but at the end of the day, he still kind of becomes Superman, and one of the reasons I like it as much as I do, specifically compared to other Mark Millar stories, is that sounds like it would be the most pessimistic, cynical, ultra-violent thing, and it isn't that. It's surprisingly thoughtful and surprisingly positive by the end. The movie is not that. The movie is exactly the animated movie. I'm not looking forward to having to talk about that at some point. That's gonna be a 10-minute review just so that I don't have to talk about it too much. I'm kidding. But that movie is what I was worried that story was gonna be when I first read it.
They're getting into all the stereotypes in the comments.
I'm sorry, Blue Dragon 5. I'm not with you on that, man. He says the movie's good, but not as good as the book. I'm not with you. I think it's dreadful.
They're saying he'd be a mobster. He'd love himself a drink. Superman Green Sun.
Oh, I didn't think to make Irish jokes because I don't know enough about that culture. But yeah,
I do really want a Superman costume that has a kilt instead of the trunks.
It would be really amusing if he was raised in Ireland and then he had a green suit and then... See, I didn't think of that because too often... I always overthink this stuff. Too often the suit comes from Krypton in the first place and then Superman's just lucky that he's wearing the same colors as the American flag. But wouldn't it be really funny if he had a green suit and then later on he found out that the one thing that can kill him is the same color as his costume? And he's basically wearing the, Kryptonite Man costume?
They're pretty cool.
It would also be really amusing if it was the kind of Superman that can't get drunk.
Oh yeah.
So like he's raised in that culture, and all of his friends get drunk all the time, and he just pretends to get drunk.
Look at that. Writes itself.
It really does. Once you start thinking about it, once you actually think about the couple of superficial things that you know about Ireland, and then I start going, oh,
Well,
what would a Superman
of...
raised in Switzerland be like? Well, he'd be the only Superman that carried a knife, but not because he hurt people with it, but just because he might need a can opener at some point, and and a bottle opener, and he's the and tweezers, and he's the only Superman that eats mostly chocolate. Just got all the stereotypes of the culture.
Nailed it. That's what it'd be like if we wrote it and did no research. All right. John Kelling.
We should do like a Why We're Not in Charge show.
Oh, yeah. Just slam ourselves the whole time.
Wow.
Here's $5 to call the Snyder Cut watch party on Friday the Watchtower Party. He's making requests in his super chat.
All along the Watchtower Party. Yeah, that's fun. We're probably not going to call it that, but...
but we'll take it under consideration.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super appropriate. Like, are you just saying that because he directed Watchmen and that had that song in it, or because the Justice League has a thing called the Watchtower, but it won't be in that movie?
Maybe. Who knows?
There's no way the Watchtower's in that movie.
Yeah, we haven't got a promo photo of it yet, and we've got a promo photo of literally everything.
I would actually be really surprised if that movie doesn't end the same, even if this isn't the last scene, doesn't have that scene or a similar scene that the theatrical version does, where they go to the old Wayne Manor and they make it the Hall of Justice. Something tells me that was a Snyder thing. It may not be, but something tells me he shot that, or that was his idea. Oh, that's cool, Stephen Murphy. He says, if you ever visit Ireland, I'll give you a list of places to go. You can catch up on history then. Are you from Ireland, or have you just been there? Hi, Connor. How's it going? I feel like once a show, I find myself saying hi, Connor. Okay, what else we got, sir?
What he's saying is get here on time, Connor, so he doesn't have to interrupt the show to say hi to you every time.
Yeah, why can't I have your name in the middle of all the people that are there in the one grouping of people that I'm of chatters that I'm looking at?
All right, TH1. Can't wait for Batman 0 Point. What / when are the plans for WandaVision Mania? And what is your favorite fruit? Your best on YouTube.
Thanks. Was that Tom?
That was Tom.
It sounded like a Tom question. I missed who it was in the first place, but that sounded like a Tom question. So I don't know anything about 0 Point. I had not heard about that. I have not been keeping up with current anything like month to month. I'm assuming that you're talking about a comic event. That sounds like a generic Batman comic event, but yeah, I'll look into that. My favorite fruit is pineapple. To which at least a third of the audience says gross, because apparently pineapple is one of those things that you either like love unconditionally and put in everything, or wish that it was in a different reality than the one that you're in.
I'm with you, man.
Are you?
I think that's my favorite
too. That's true, because you drink my triple pineapple monstrosity drink.
I love pineapple. Pineapple juice is the best juice. Pineapple is my favorite fruit. It is hard. I understand people that try it and get a bad piece and then never try it again, because it is hard to get good pineapple. It's either too crunchy or not enough juice in it. But if you get a good piece of pineapple, it's really good.
That's an excellent point. And Tom, we've mentioned this before, but WandaVision, we've talked about probably being part of the next batch of Marvel Mania. We're talking about putting the Disney Plus shows in there, so it would just be in with the next batch when we finally do that. And if we get the Disney Plus shows in there, that would allow us to do those a little bit more frequently. Now when we do that, DJ, I don't know why we haven't had this conversation. I don't know how many we'll do at a time. I mean, we haven't really talked about that.
That's
true. We just do the equivalent of what a movie length usually is. So if those shows are 2 hours, and we had a show that was like half an hour, 45 minutes, we do like 3 episodes. Like, we'll have to talk about all that.
Yeah, to figure that out. But that's way down the line. We got to do Zack Snyder Mania first.
So he's joking, and if he's not,
stop announcing things, DJ.
If he's not, the opinions of my co-host do not necessarily reflect the opinion of Geeflution at large. Okay, go ahead.
Logan Dodd, could the MCU be getting too big for its own good?
Yes, Professor Zoom, I do like pineapple on a pizza. And I've been fighting with people about that a lot lately, or not intentionally, but I'll mention that, and people, oh my god, that's gross. I'm like, well, you eat what you want on pizza, man. I don't actually eat it as much as I used to. I got burnt out on it. That used to be like a thing I did all the time. I don't get it that much anymore, but I still like it.
Yeah,
Anyway,
but I understand having to defend something that you, even if you used to like it, but people start slamming it, you gotta defend it.
so the question was, is the MCU getting too big for its own good?
Yes, with an exclamation point and a question mark.
Oh wow, okay.
It's a big deal.
Does that mean I have to agree with it, even though you phrased it as a question, but it doesn't have a question mark at the end? I think that's certainly a risk. I think that's always been a risk. It, I mean, there's different ways to approach this question. You know, like too big for whom, right? If you're a person that can't make the time to commit to seeing everything, but regardless of what seems most important to all of all the other parts, to like each thing that you most care about, you really want to consume all of it. Yes, absolutely, it's very difficult to do that now. There are people who want to watch all of it that just don't have time and are frustrated about that. If it gets to a place where it's all too interconnected and you have to, or there's the perception that you have to look at all of it and you don't have time, or you don't want to do that. You only want to be selective, like a lot of people are, and just look at the characters that you like, or the major events or whatever. That can also be a problem. It's a catch-22, right? Because we were in this place with WandaVision, and that ended recently, so I won't get into spoilers with that. We did a 2.5-hour spoiler cast the other day. If you've not seen that and you want to hear us talk about that, DJ wasn't there, so when I say us, me and a couple other people, Connor and Austin, but we talked about that night, about how Kevin Feige and that team are walking this thin line where they're trying to make the TV things not feel so important that you have to watch them to see the movies, but important enough that they don't feel totally superfluous. And that is irritating both sides, because one side might only want to watch the movies, doesn't want to commit to a TV show, or is not interested in what that show was about. Maybe, you know, there's got to be people that want to watch Falcon Winter Soldier because they like those characters, but are like, like collectively, Vision and Scarlet Witch got like 15 minutes between all the movies they were in. I just don't care about those characters, or I'm not interested in sitcoms. Like, the format doesn't appeal to me, and or you know, just they look at a trailer and they go, that's not for me, I don't care. But then that brings up anything that informs movies later on. Maybe you get into Doctor Strange, and when that show is talked about at all, regardless of whether or not being on the inside looking out, you can say, I'm pretty sure you don't have to have that to appreciate this. Some people, that's not enough. For some people, it's like, I don't want anything that remotely seems important going on over there. But at the same time, a lot of people who are consuming all of it were disappointed that there wasn't a bigger reveal or any kind of major revelations at the end of that show beyond what we had. So I mean, it's a massive catch-22. It's really difficult to say what you ought to be doing with that. I mean, more broadly, I want to say, just like with comics, I don't think you can have too much of it if a lot of the stuff is good, and if there's a lot of variety, and if you're telling a lot of different kind of stories that may not even matter that much. My kid's freaking out. That may not. He's 2. That may not even matter too much. That you look at everything. You just pick and choose and read the stuff that you really want to read. I want to say that if that's happening with the TV and the movie side too, you can't have too much. But I think it's harder when the masses are consuming it the way they are. It's just a tough line to walk. So the answer to that question is, it just depends on who you are.
Yeah. Obviously, I had hoped that they could use Endgame as like a jumping off point where everyone's scattered. You got Cap's gone, Iron Man's gone. Like, everyone's split up now. Like, Falcon and Winter Soldier go off and do their own thing. You can watch their show. Wanda and Vision are over here doing this thing. I wish it was less connected now. Like, it was another. Someone said it feels like back in Phase 1 right now. I kind of wish that was the case, where it was kind of more split off. And like you said, you could watch what you wanted to, and it wasn't all super interconnected. But it doesn't seem. I don't know if they're saying that this is like a trilogy between different movie series now, like WandaVision, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange, and it doesn't seem like they're going that way at all. Which is, I don't know. I don't know how it'll work out for them.
That's
But
totally fair.
you just hope that we don't get into a place where every movie has like weird explainy recap, like Thor segment of Age of Ultron, where they just start talking about the Infinity Stones to catch everyone up. Like, I don't want that in Doctor Strange to be like, this is how WandaVision got this book, and this is what it is, and magic and all. I don't want all that to happen. So, hopefully they handle it well.
That's a good point. I'll also say that as big as it is, this is just tangentially related. I wish that we had been, more consistent with the continuity getting here and didn't have to retcon things the way we did. The sword thing in WandaVision kind of drives me crazy. And I've talked about this a lot, like getting to Thanos, we didn't really know who that character was, so when we got there it felt a little bit retroactive and hindsighty. Like knowing that you're building this big giant continuity, it's a little bit unfortunate that the interconnectedness of it didn't feel more organic than it did. It does comparatively when you look at things like X-Men, because they couldn't get past 2 movies without having those kinds of problems. So yeah, comparing it to a lot of other things, it looks really, really good, but not compared to, say, 70s Marvel, comics.
All right. Thanks for the chat, Logan.
Appreciate it.
Rohit Dahar,
Hi.
$5. He says, FYI, I'm Rodhar95 on the Discord, so he was the one who recommended the opening topic.
Cool.
So thanks, Rohit.
Thanks, man.
And he says, just wanted to say thanks again for the Discord. Also, what genres do you feel are underappreciated in fiction?
Oh, yeah. Cool. It's interesting because it feels like a lot of stuff has been coming back lately. Like, I feel like you've got more variety with different kinds of genres now than you ever have. It's just that there's, especially in TV, it's just that there's so much stuff vying for everybody's attention, nobody knows about them, about some of them. Like, I just noticed an ad the other day on Netflix for a pirate show. I was like, oh, we're making pirate shows. But, I haven't heard anybody talk about this. And, I don't care about pirates, so I'm probably not going to watch that. But that's a difficult question to answer right now because I feel like everything's coming back in a big way, and I think that's partly happening because all these different services, streaming services, and even to a lesser degree in comics and stuff. But you have all these different companies that are trying to grab people's attention, and they realize that there's not the 4 or 5 big things that everybody's paying attention to anymore, and so we're just creating 1,000 shows you can watch at the same time now instead of the 50 or 100 that you used to have, and so. Yeah, I don't know. We don't, obviously we don't make a ton of Westerns anymore, but people care about those, a little bit more now than they did maybe 15 years ago. And I think you can make a Western and sell it now. I guess I'm going to almost give you a counter question, which is DJ, is there a genre right now that doesn't sell? Potentially? That couldn't potentially sell?
I don't know. That's the good thing coming out of streaming service. Yeah, well, and the fact that he says underappreciated, I don't know if he means is underused or if it's being made but people aren't flocking to it. I don't know which way he means with that.
Yeah, because I don't know, I'm struggling with this one because this would be easier to answer 10 years ago, right? Because we didn't used to get a whole lot of spy thrillers and stuff, but now we're making a lot of that, or a lot more of it than we ever used to. There's more noir-ish or ish things. There's more hard-boiled type stuff than maybe we used to make. It's funny. Maybe the answer to this is rom-coms.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore very much.
In fact, I would say maybe the answer is mainstream non-genre. Literary stories that more people look at. Because obviously we make plenty of art house things that 5 people go and watch, but we've been talking about this a lot on the show lately too. It's not like the 90s where a lot of the mainstream movies that people went to see were just dramas about families. I don't feel like there's as much of that that catches on that a lot of people are looking at. That's more splintered than genre is now, I think. It seems to me. Maybe I'm totally off base, but that's what it seems like.
Yeah, Dana Davis says romantic comedies need to make a comeback in a good way soon.
Yeah, in a good way, sure.
Orlock Blackwater says horror is simultaneously overmade and underwhelming.
Yeah.
Senior Nerd says, I say samurai/kung fu movies.
But see, it seems like that's coming back. A lot of people are, or at least a lot of people are clamoring for that and wanting more of it. I think more and more over the next few years, you're going to see a lot more authentic attempts at that. It's almost like a backlash against Iron Fist.
Yeah, I think the problem it's like
things like that.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Matthew-based live-action musicals. That's one of them. That's definitely in there. Sorry, DJ. Go ahead.
Yeah, we get like one a year now, but yeah, that's definitely not what it used to be. I'm excited about the one that's coming out this year. I can't remember what it's called. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Anyway, it's coming to HBO Max. That's the good thing and bad thing about it's like a double-edged sword about streaming services is everyone's making as much content as they can. So I think stuff is being made in every genre, but you don't hear about it because it's so much stuff going on. Like if you really dig for it, you can find stuff, but nothing is the Western. It's like we have superhero movies, but nothing else is like that big of a thing because there's so much stuff just vying for your attention all the time.
And even when you do have a like non-supernatural or non-genre thing that really catches on, like a Breaking Bad or something, there's very often an element to it that feels genre. Like Breaking Bad broke through that mold where like people that love genre stuff that are usually watching like you know sci-fi things and stuff like that were watching that show because it was made by the people who make stuff like that. And they brought certain of those sensibilities to them. So like that's not a thing that has any sci-fi or supernatural or fantasy components to it. And yet it's a thing where a lot of like kind of implausible things happen within a context where you actually end up sort of buying it. You know what I mean? Like along with all of the genre memes and stuff, you had all the blue meth stuff, and like people were selling the Breaking Bad T-shirts right alongside the Guardians of the Galaxy T-shirts and stuff. It's really interesting. It's like that was a mainstream genre or drama kind of show. It's in the subgenre of crime drama and like drug culture drama, but it's not a supernatural genre. But it might as well have been the way it caught on.
Yeah, and the marketing for that was always like, because it's about drugs, it was always like abstract and like smoke, surreal, and interesting stuff. Yeah, so that caught my attention.
Absolutely.
For sure. Great
question, though.
Yeah, I love talking about just genres.
That was a good challenging question. I wasn't sure where to go with that immediately.
Next up is from John Ty.
Hi.
When it comes to superhero fiction, why do comic books always get shafted in any type of discussion to movies and TV shows?
Because it's a medium that we don't appreciate in this country by and large the way we do movies and television and even video games. This country tends to look at movies as the most important genre, as the thing that validates stories. I mean, you honestly these days have exactly the same thing with literature, especially new literature. Like the reason that they're sidelined in a discussion is because people aren't going to talk about stuff they haven't read, and people aren't reading comics. Like obviously there's a comics readership, but we don't. The mainstream doesn't celebrate comics the way that they celebrate the screen. I mean that's the easy answer.
Yeah, and it's an impossible problem to fix because I feel like mediums, you kind of have to get into it while you're young. It's really hard to pick up a medium. Like I love comics when I read them, but I can't get into it like fully. Like people have the same with the books. If you don't grow up reading books, it's really hard to just get into reading books. I guess you can some people aren't into movies, but most people are. But
Yeah.
it's something you got to kind of be grown. You got to kind of grow up with,
And I've always said part of that is because movies are a more passive experience, and sometimes people
yeah.
give me crap when I say that. We're like, no, it can be really active to sit and watch a movie. Yeah, sure, it can be if you're paying close attention, taking notes and stuff. But a lot of people watch television and movies very passively. You can tell those folks because they don't want to talk about anything they've watched. So you don't have that with reading of any kind. Reading is always more of an active experience, even comics, because there's still something you have to bring to comics. Comic books are something in between prose and movies, so there are pictures that tell you exactly what a person or landscapes or whatever is supposed to look like, but you still have to provide the voice. You still have to provide the pacing. And so there are things that you have to create in your mind's eye or even in your ears that make the experience work for you, that you don't have to do when you're watching something. And that's what I mean when I say passive. There's not a lot that you have to bring to the screen. You don't get to decide how fast you watch a thing beyond fast forwarding it or watching something in 2x speed. You don't get to decide what a character sounds like or what the line delivery is, or any of that stuff. And so, in this country, folks are kind of raised to, unfortunately, I think, do more, appreciate more passive entertainment.
Well, and let me know real quick what you think about this, because this is something that I had a conversation about with my wife recently, and it's why I don't read as much as I should. Me personally, and I think a lot of people have this, is because of the internet now and because of trying to keep up with pop culture and stuff, every time I sit down and read a book, I read the book to finish the book. I want to accomplish this book. I want to have read this book so I know it, and then I can move on to something else. Instead of, back in the day, when you would read a book, it would be like just coming home from work, sitting down and turning on the TV. I have 30 minutes. I need to fill this time with something.
That's right.
So reading is entertainment. I'm going to read because I have time. But now everything is so based on like getting to the end of it. And then I read and I fall off a couple days. I don't read it or whatever. And then I'm like, I'm never going to finish this book. So I just stop. And it's so based on
That's interesting,
that.
yeah. Where, like, with movies, you're used to finishing a story in a single sitting, and even with longer form things, with shows and stuff, there's still an end to at least the section you're watching. And you could say, well, you could always read to the end of a chapter, but there's nothing making you do that. You can always, like, put a bookmark in and put a book down. And, like, yeah, you can stop wherever you're at watching a thing, but people tend to, like, a lot time, right? They go, I got 45 minutes to watch this episode. I'm going to sit down and watch that. And people just they don't pace themselves the same way with the books. That's a good point. And I've suggested this before too. And I've had people argue with me about this, but I still think I'm right about this. I think by and large, people are so used to the more frenetic pacing of a movie, and you could say, well, dude, like, TV's really slowed down now with Netflix pacing and stuff. But even still, things tend to be paced faster than reading a book. And what I mean by that is the specific amount of time. There's a lot going on upstairs in my house. I apologize. The specific. I need a broom. The specific.
Mr. Heckles him. Doof, doof, doof.
Wow, Cap turned 70 years old in the middle of this broadcast. Get out of my basement. Get off my lawn. I'm talking about the specific amount of time it takes you to get from a plot point to the next plot point, right? You have to... Things are slowed down a ton reading a book or even a short story, obviously, because the words have to do a lot of work to create the setting that when you're watching something that is visually driven is just there for you already. So it might take 10 minutes reading a book to get to second one of a movie or a TV show, which says, this is what this house looks like. And there's subtext that is supposed to be created in prose, and you're supposed to reveal things through all the details, and all of those details can be given to you, and revealing things about your characters visually very quickly when you're watching something. And people, I think that don't grow up with books or don't grow up reading, even if they are reading more than they're watching something, get really impatient with that and have a difficult time appreciating the nuance and the reason that you need to read all these details and create them in your mind's eye, and they're used to a story taking place over a couple of hours. And that's not what it's like in a book. It takes longer. So when I say pacing, I don't mean the pacing of the actual novel, like chapter to chapter, how quickly are things happening. I mean the amount of time that the world is being created for you, the reader, and we're getting to a character doing things than happens when you're watching a visual medium. It's very, very different, and I think people are kind of conditioned to not have the patience for it.
Yeah, I mean, movies, yeah. Even if you watch older movies, like I've been watching a lot of old movies lately, I'm trying to get my son into them because the pacing is so different. You get an overture and then credits before the movie even starts. Like you have to sit there for like 6-7 minutes sometimes before the movie even starts. Sometimes they're just setting up the musical themes in the movie.
Well, DJ, the reason that is because back then everybody did read, and so those 6 or 7 minutes give you time to finish the chapter that you're on in the book you're reading. As you get into the movie that you're about to transition to.
Yeah, everyone brought their books into the movie theater with them. And also,
nobody in the chat cares about this topic. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, no one's talking about this. We need to move on. This is just interesting to us, but I like it.
This is just our own little mini GNN. I need to start making I don't know, like signs for this show to create segments where it's like, don't mind us.
Don't mind us. Talk amongst yourselves. 5590ERS, do you feel Superman has been getting the shaft in a favor of Batman in recent years? Recent years? Try all the years.
I wouldn't say all the years, no. That would be hyperbolic. Superman was certainly not given the shaft to Batman in the late 30s to early 40s. They were either equally popular or Superman was definitely much more popular. If you talk about all the years you've been alive, absolutely that is true. And all the years I've been alive, that's pretty much true. I feel like it is less true in the last few years, maybe, the DCEU notwithstanding. And I feel like there's this concerted effort happening right now to bring a classic Superman back and prove that that kind of positivity and idealism can still work in today's muddy climate. And that's exciting. Like, I think, we just had Man of Tomorrow, and now we've got Superman and Lois, and it makes me wonder if in the next couple of years I'm going to be singing a very different tune about Superman. Because right now I can already give you 2 examples of exactly the things I've been asking for Superman. And we have them on screen now. It's very exciting. And I'm not saying that there's not still a lot of work to do with that, because I want that on the big screen, and I will say I do want it with Clark Kent. So even if the thing that Coates is writing ends up being that and great, everything I'm reading says that he's probably not going to be using a Clark Kent. So I still want a Clark Kent that also has that as the big on-screen big screen representation, regardless of what big screen means in the next few years. But you know what I mean. Not everybody's going to watch that CW Superman show, and I don't know if that show will stay good. Not everybody's gonna watch an animated direct-to-video movie, and so I hate the way, going back to something we talked about earlier, I hate the way that we validate big-screen movies above everything else in this country, and yet, because we do that, real Superman, in my mind, needs to be represented there, or people will assume that Superman is something other than he is. And I worry that a whole generation of kids has grown up and does not understand that character. And I was worried about that back in the Smallville days too, because it's not like when I was growing up we had Superman movies. We didn't just have bad ones. We didn't have Superman movies. We didn't make them. And then in 2006 we finally brought it back and did a pseudo Christopher Reeves thing, and it was kind of dreadful. And then finally Man of Steel happens, and it's a huge mixed bag that had plenty of potential moving forward that, in my mind, was very squandered with BVS. And I don't want to just spend this whole time complaining about that whole thing again, because that's all my life has been for a month. But It's but going back to the question, I think that was true. I question how true it is now, and how and I've made some videos about well, I made a video about this, and then we talked about it a lot on the Captain Logan show, about how popular Batman himself is versus his world right now. So I mean, there's also this question of, is Batman as big of a deal now as he was 10 years ago? And I think that is kind of also not true, but that doesn't put him and Superman on equal footing necessarily. So I think we're in kind of a murky territory with both of those characters right now, and comparing the popularity of them is difficult.
Yeah, it'll be interesting once he gets his movie next year. What happens there, if that blows up or if it just kind of stays where he is now. Maniac Madness 11. Do you think Marvel calling the next X-Men movie The Mutants is a way to be more inclusive by dropping the men from the title, or a way to rebrand?
I think it could be both of those things, or it could be neither of those things. I have to see the movie before we'll know, or at least see how it's marketed before we'll know. Yes, that absolutely could be a gender thing, trying to make everybody happy. We talked about this with the Captain Marvel commentary, that movie seemed to have a lot of elements that were maybe at loggerheads a little bit, just trying not to alienate anybody. We don't want people who we don't want either side of a political aisle to feel like they're left out. So we have to make it feel like it's specifically for progressives that really need a major like feminist movie, but we don't want people who don't care about that or who are against that to feel like it is that. So it's sort of both of those things at the same time. I could see the mutant thing happening exactly the same way, but I don't know that that's what it is. Like who knows? Also, just because it's being branded mutants doesn't mean that at some point you won't get something called X-Men. I need to see what the status quo is. I need to see where we're starting from. It's possible.
Yeah, maybe they just want to have a.
Maybe it's not called X-Men because we don't have those yet. Maybe they do a movie called The Mutants because it's about a bunch of mutants that just found out they have powers or otherwise. However, we're doing that. That all get together and have to fight some great threat, and then they're barely a superhero team. Or it could even be about several characters all with their own stories that aren't really forming a team yet. That's possible too. But it's also possible that Mutants is just what we're calling X-Men now. Any of these things is possible. And I would be sad to lose the X-Men moniker. I don't feel like that's necessary. I feel like by and large we all understand what we mean with the proverbial men, as in mankind, and not men versus women. So I don't like getting in the weeds with all that. I think that's silly. I don't think there's anything sexist about saying my favorite X-Man is Storm. Yes, she's a woman, but it's men in the sense of mankind versus interestingly, versus mutant kind, and then that says, but see, they're people too. Like, that's what I've always liked about that title. So, I don't know, I would hate to lose it entirely, but I'm gonna withhold judgment until I see what they're making.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was what they were calling it. That's cool. Mr. Roboto, if you have the power of bullet time, how do you use it? Interesting. I don't have to dodge many bullets in my life or anything.
Yeah, I mean,
as eventful as that.
Slowing down time is always useful because you can get someplace on time without having to worry about like traffic and stuff. So I mean, I feel like the situations would just present themselves, right? Like if you had the ability for bullet time, you'd be slowing down time all the time. You'd use it to like stop things from falling off of a table and getting broken. Those things would just present themselves all the time.
Yeah. And but does it have the same side effects as clock stoppers, where because your molecules are moving faster, you age faster, and then before you know it, you're an old man? Because that's a bummer. And that movie was also a bummer.
That's a bummer. Well, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, all things being equal, if I didn't have to worry about that problem. But you might have a hard time thinking of a lot of application until you got that power, and as soon as you had that, you'd be using it all the time.
Yeah, it's like when you buy a red car.
Now, my question is, does bullet time always equal super speed? Because we use it that way a lot. But
Oh, it would be horrible if you could just see things happening slow, but you couldn't get there still. That would be horrible. Like your kid's falling out of a tree, and you're like, oh,
maybe it's
no!
semantics, but if you can slow down time, and you can, like, maybe this is like a if a tree falls in the wilderness question. Like, if you can slow down time, and then everybody around you is moving like molasses, but you're just walking around at normal speed, but to them you're going very quickly. Is it super speed? It isn't for you. Like, I feel like there is a distinction between bullet time and super speed, but these days we often show super speed exactly as we show bullet time, and I don't actually know if it makes sense. Like, when you get things like Quicksilver or like Flash in the Justice League movie, at least the theatrical version, and because I don't think they're going to actually play it the same way, but like, well, in the Snyder Cut, we'll see what it looks like. The way Snyder's talking, it's like his speed works differently, so I don't know. But
you still better be doing this run though, because I need to see that.
But in that, where he looks like a speed skater. But in that, and we do this all the time. Like, I'm not just throwing that movie under the bus. We did this with Smallville. Like, we'll treat it like if you're able to super speed, as soon as you start going fast, you perceive time differently than you did a second ago. You know what I mean? And that's always weird. Where it's like, aren't you always perceiving time the same way? It's like, as soon as you start moving fast, now, like you can. I don't know if I'm articulating this very well.
No, I got you. You
can like, you start like moving and noticing things in a normal person time like you did before, but everything, is it just because everything else is slowed down? I don't know. It seems like your perception wouldn't be different the way it often is portrayed that way. Like, I think there's a difference between slowing time down and moving fast.
Well, I feel like we show it that way because it would be maddening and insane, and no one would be able to have that power for more than like a week. Because if you were everyone was always moving in slow motion, like, it would drive you insane. Like, you couldn't.
Well, yeah,
it'd be horrible.
But I can see, like, slowing it down so that the viewer can see what the guy is doing. But I think that's different. I think we cheat with this. You slow, like, there's a difference between you slow it down the footage essentially so that you can see Quicksilver or whoever doing something very quickly. But what we tend to do is, while they're moving really fast, they also have enough time to have, like, normal real-time reactions to things that are happening very slow to the viewer. It's almost like that Raphael falling thing in Ninja Turtles 2014. It's that whole thing. And I feel like the powers are different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone should have Raphael's power to talk really fast but fall slowly.
It's amazing. It is that same thing, though, right?
Yeah, it's hard to.
Raphael has bullet time powers in that movie when nobody else does, and the movie doesn't know it.
Oh, I forgot about that. I've
I've
tried to forget that movie, Cap. You keep reminding me of it.
Well, I can't help it, man. It's hilarious.
All right. Thanks for the question, Mr. Roboto. That was a great one. Big Bad Harv 95, $5. Hey, Cap, do you think HBO Max will crash due to everyone trying to watch the Snyder Cut at once? The same thing happened with Wonder Woman 1984 before.
Yeah, it might. Maybe it's for the best that we're doing that on Friday instead of Thursday.
Oh yeah, that might be a
I
whole.
didn't even think of that. Yeah, I think that likely will happen. And then I'm worried that the Warner's executives will go, "Oh man, Snyder crashed it. We better give him the keys to the kingdom again."
Well, if he's saying that it crashed with Wonder Woman, and they're not giving her the keys to the kingdom anytime soon, so
they're not going to let Wonder Woman make the DCEU.
No.
He means Patty Jenkins. I know what you're talking about.
Patty Jenkins make the 80s MCU.
The 80s MCU?
Yeah.
No, they're not. Hey, we might want to go to a couple of pre-written, because I don't think we've done any of that this evening.
Yeah, sure. We've just been getting so many questions tonight. Let me see.
Absolutely. I just don't want to shaft it in case there's anybody in there that's got interesting questions.
Yeah, let me go here to Blue Dragon 5.
Otherwise, I'm lying at the beginning of the show. And I don't want to be a liar. I don't even know if I gave that spiel this time, but I don't want to be a liar.
Blue Dragon 5 wants to know if you've got around to seeing Raya yet.
To
So
see
I'm gonna
what?
say no because it's the new Disney movie Raya the Last Dragon.
Oh, is that what that's called? I keep hearing some dragon movie. I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has not seen it. He
I
didn't even know what
haven't.
it was until I brought
I
it up on
don't.
the.
I don't care until I hear things that it's great or something. I don't know. I didn't even know about that until the other day, and somehow I missed all the advertising for that. I don't know. I'm not a big dragon person, so I don't immediately flock to that. So I don't know. I might watch it at some point.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I watch all the Disney movies, but I don't like supporting the $30 premium access thing. So
Oh,
I'll just
that's
wait.
right. They did put it on premium access. I won't watch it until it's there then, without that, because I'm certainly not gonna pay that to watch it. I didn't even know about it, and it's not. Nobody's been clamoring for a review, so
Daniel Davis, pre-written. If you could go back in time and change any movie's production, what would it be?
real quick, can I just say that I'm not I'm just not clamoring for brand new content like a lot of people are. Like I think it's been a year since a lot of people have been able to go to the theater much, and since there's been anything in theaters, and I think a lot of people are just chomping at the bit to get to have the theater experience and watch anything that just came out. I don't have that, man. I've been real satisfied living in a no man's land of movies movies and stuff for a while, and it's been nice to occasionally have something that I was kind of interested in seeing and in watching it, I guess. But I've said this before, and I don't mean to repeat myself too much, so I'll do this briefly. But I was so burnt out on new stuff because at least 50% of everything I was watching I didn't feel like was worth it, and I wasn't liking, and I was having to pay money to go not have a good time, and to leave my house and go sit down somewhere and not have a good time, and then have to come back and talk about it and have as much of a good time as I can talking about it. And I was burnt out, man. I was frustrated with that. I said this before, I could have gone 3 or 4 more years with. I probably keep increasing that number. Next time it's going to be, I could have gone 9 or 10 more years without any new content at all. And so when somebody goes, oh, there's a new animated Disney movie out, my mind goes, okay, well, I didn't rush to go see those before. I haven't seen Frozen 2. Like, I don't care that much. I don't see everything Disney puts out. Pixar movies I'm more interested in because the track record is better, and because a lot of the people involved are just writers that I've been interested in the past. So the last couple of those, I don't mean to be a hypocrite, like I've gone out of my way to see because I thought the premises looked interesting, but I haven't even seen every Pixar movie. Like Coco was off my radar. I forgot that even came out. I just didn't care.
Oh, so good.
And people said it was great, and I will watch that at some point. But if it doesn't immediately tickle my fan, I'm busy. I got other things going on, and so I have to go out of my way to watch a thing. So I'm not calling out Blue Dragon 5 or anything, but I'm just saying. But I just thought it would be interesting to note that that a lot of people are like, oh man, there's new things, and I'm like, great, we're back to having to watch new things.
No, and he's fine. Blue Dragon 5 actually he directed that one specifically to me because he knew I would be more interested in it. So sorry I didn't read it that way.
No,
Blue
that's
Dragon
all right.
5, but no, I haven't seen it yet. I am interested in it. It's like East Asian culture, which is cool, and I like fantasy stuff, so I am interested in it. I'll wait till it comes out in a couple months straight to Disney Plus. But I'm with you, Cap. I don't need any new stuff right now. I've been going back and watching a lot of classic stuff that I needed to catch up on for a long time. My friend from work gave me access to his Criterion Channel streaming service account, so I've been watching some old stuff on there, and I've been loving the chance to catch up on stuff. So we're not saying we want Corona to continue. We're just saying we don't need content right away.
I am saying that my habits have changed, and I don't know how far back to normal they will go when this is all over.
That's true. That's
I will
a good
say
point.
that. I said this on, I don't know if I should say this out loud on the channel. I guess I'm going to. I mentioned this on the Discord earlier today. Again, the new public Discord that everybody should join and hang out with us and talk to us. It's a good time.
It's absolutely free.
It's absolutely
I do have
free.
to say, somebody did say the link is expired. We might have to make a new link for that in the chat. I don't know if they're right about it, but somebody did mention that.
The link that I just put up yesterday is already expired.
I don't know. I'm just
I'll do
reading
another
what
one
was in
right
the
now
chat.
while we're talking, guys. In fact, I can probably get it in here.
I don't know if they were talking. I don't know what link they were talking about. I just saw somebody.
Well,
in the
that's
chat
okay though. I'll bring the
said.
Discord up right now, and I will link it in the chat and try to put it in the description.
Cool. I just want to make sure they can.
And then everybody can do it from right here where we're at. What were we talking about? Oh,
habits.
I said this. I'm not promising one way or another right now, but my attitude right now is I could see Black Widow whenever that finally comes out. I know it's supposed to be May. There's every reason to think that they could push it back again. I could see myself. I could see that being DJ the first superhero movie since I started doing spoiler casts and things that I wait for video on, that I don't even talk about when it first comes out. I just don't know how badly I need to go back to the theater, and I don't know if the view count's going to be all that different. And I feel like we're about to be in an age where, if not simultaneous, you're not going to have to wait 3 months anymore. Like, you might with that, I don't know, but I feel like we're about to be in a place where even when things go to theaters, it might be 30 days, it might be 60 days, and I don't know, I'm busy with my family, I got another kid coming, I'm working on rewinds, like, new stuff is not the priority. I know a lot of people watch those videos, and they're fun to make, and I really appreciate the support, and I think we need them, but I don't know that I have to review every superhero movie the week it comes out anymore. I actually think I could get away with waiting a month or two, and I think the interest in the view counts would be really similar.
Yeah, I don't know how many new people we're getting from those new reviews, but I know that the subscribers want to hear your opinion on the movie, and they don't necessarily need. It doesn't matter when it comes out.
It just doesn't have to be right away. Yeah, is that crazy talk? That might be crazy talk. And let me know in the comments if you think that's crazy talk, because I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I'm just kicking it around. So the layout of Discord is different on my desktop. And I'm having a hard time finding where that link is.
It's all over the place. Blue Dragon 5 has said it worked earlier today for him, but then Rohit said the link has expired for yesterday, so maybe it's just...
Okay, did I post one today, or did I just post it yesterday? I don't remember. This is annoying. It's not in the same place. I'm having a hard time finding... let's see, server settings, maybe? Maybe that's where it is? It's in a completely different place.
I love this next super chat from Mr. Roboto.
How do I invite people just on the desktop? Okay, whatever. I'm just going to post on social media again. I cannot... Can I send you the link and you could put it in there? Would you do that? Because I know how to do it on here.
Yeah, in the chat. I can put it in the chat.
Now I'm frustrated, you guys.
Lewis Cox says, Cap, that is crazy talk, LOL.
Look, it's so simple. Look, when I pull it up on my phone... on the app, invite members. It's right at the very top of my phone. Look, it's right at the top, DJ.
Now you do sound like a 70-year-old.
Not on the disc, but not on the desktop though. I don't know where it is.
Get him a broom, guys.
Get me a broom. Okay, I'm sending this to you on Facebook. Okay.
I will receive it.
Yeah, thank you. And then would you just post that in the comments for me, please? Actually, I could probably take the link for whatever. I don't know if I can get to it here real easily. It's fine. It's fine.
There it is, guys. There it is. That should be a fresh one. Jump on it while it's hot, because apparently it expires quickly.
Okay. Can we move on, please?
Yeah. Mr. Roboto, $2.
Thanks, Mr. Roboto.
Oh, $5. Excuse me. This is another.
What's up, sir?
He has two. I'm going to read this one first, and then we go because I love this one. Is the Smallville theme now the new Superman theme, as it is iconic and timeless?
No. No, it's not.
100%, Mr. Roboto. You can take that to the bank.
I think people that grew up with that show or really like that show, of course, remember that theme. I don't know how iconic it is versus is it maligned or is it just made fun of like lovingly? Or I think different people are doing different things when they reference that song. Smallville comes up in a conversation with like somebody says, "Hey, me, is that because you liked that intro or because you thought it was stupid and it just stuck with you and you're laughing at it?"
I think it can be a little of both. I think it's like you like it ironically. I don't know.
It is definitely not the new Superman theme though. So I got to give a couple of anecdotes real quick.
Sure.
So I did a review yesterday. I posted a review yesterday of the I think it was yesterday, the second volume of the Smallville season 11 comics, or the third volume of the Smallville season 11 comics. There was a thing in there that I forgot to mention, which is, and I think this might be the second time in that book that this happens. But DJ, there's somebody who's like in trouble. I can't remember the context, but there's a character that's in a panel who yells, "Somebody save me!" It's fantastic.
That's awesome.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is Jason's Jason's been going around doing this joke lately because we've been doing all the Snyder stuff, and Jason helped me with, and I haven't done one of these in a while because I haven't had time, but Jason helped me with the 10-minute version of and some people really like those. They haven't been getting hit real hard, so I'm on the fence about how often I'm going to post those. But I like making them, and there's some folks that really appreciate them, but certainly I don't want to, not get regular rewinds out because of those. So if I don't have time, I'm not making them. Anyway, Jason helped me do the 10-minute rewind for Man of Steel. He comes up to me one day and he keeps doing this joke, and it's funny every time. He goes, and he acts like he's dead serious. He goes, "Hey, Dad, so when it comes to Superman themes, I don't like bum 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 bum. I like boom."
Boom.
And he waits for like 10 seconds and he goes, and I just friggin' lost it.
I do love that score, but that is
I do
hilarious.
too. I love it. I listen to it quite a bit. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
I will do a top 10 at some point, and that will probably be on that list.
Oh, let me join you, man. I would love to do a top 10 superhero
Well,
scores.
I meant on a rewind.
Oh,
but
okay,
it could be a conversation show. That actually would be great to do it with some other people. To have just me and you or a panel, and do a list of those. That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But if you don't want to do a rewind, obviously, go ahead and do it. Mr. Bottom. As I throw my phone across my keyboard. Mr. Roboto, was Lex in Smallville supposed to be a crypto freak?
So that is one of the questions I'm going to ask Jarrell when I get to heaven.
Perfect.
It can't be answered. So Lex is either one of the greatest, most powerful crypto freaks or one of the lamest ones. Either Kryptonite gave Lex the ability to withstand a lot of physical punishment, and even to get around a lot of diseases like malaria and stuff. This is a question that's brought up in, I think, third season, where he survives some like really impossible things, and he goes on this like insane trek across I forget where he is, not Africa. Where is he? I can't remember. But anyway, he survived some stuff he shouldn't have been able to survive, and it suggested that he may be kind of almost bulletproof because of the kryptonite. Now he gets shot in some places, and there's times where he has amnesia and things, but like he always bounces back. He always comes back from it. So he's not Superman strong, but he may be somewhere in between a regular person and Superman. If it's not that, and then when, spoilers for Smallville, but when you get to the end of season 7 and this happens, the Fortress of Solitude collapses on Lex Luthor, and he, in order to write Michael Rosenbaum out of the show, he survives that, but he's completely crippled from it, and he's not able to move much of anything. But it might be because of his kryptonite powers that he even survived that far. If he's just really super lucky because he has plot armor, because he's a main character in that show, it means that he has the lamest crypto-freak ability, which is not being able to grow hair. And then that's all he has.
Yeah, well, yeah, because, I mean, yeah, it has to be something, because he was also hit with the kryptonite like everybody else who gets powers in that show. Maybe he's just Bruce Willis. Maybe he's just super durable and also bald.
Kind of after darky for me to say, and I don't mean this in a lewd, gross kind of way, but I always wondered if Lex Luthor has body hair. Because, like, he can't grow hair on his head, but, like, does he have arm hair? Does he have leg hair? Like, does he have body hair? I don't know.
Yeah, it might just be, like, an alopecia thing. Like, well, he has eyebrows, so...
Well, that's true. He does have eyebrows. Well, that makes it even stupider.
Yeah, that he only lost the hair on his head somehow. Oh, well. It's Smallville. What do you want to do? What do you want from it? John Kelly. No more theme music for the show. Cap's just going to do that at the beginning of every show.
I'm going to play the show out with it.
Please do. John Kelling. What? $10 super chat. Thanks, man. What are two canceled comic book films you wish you could see? Superman Lives and Cameron Spider-Man. These are just examples. Superman Lives, Cameron Spider-Man, Justice League Mortal, for example.
Yeah.
Currently working on an interdimensional portal for Pineapple. Oh, he's not a Pineapple fan.
That's great. I love the way you put that. That's funny. He wants to live in that universe, but the only thing that is different is there are no pineapples. If you believe in the many worlds theory, then that is the world that exists. That's the only thing that's different. Is there's just not pineapples. It couldn't be the only thing that was different because pineapples are is a very influential fruit, and there are things that you couldn't have if you didn't have pineapples. So butterfly effect would change everything if you had no pineapples. Anyway. I really would want to go to the universe that has Superman Lives. That is definitely one of them. I know that was one of your examples, but that is my big one, of course. I would really want to see that for obvious reasons. Partly because the history of that is so interesting. Partly because you gotta wonder how Nicolas Cage would play that, and partly because that's my favorite thing in comics. Death of Superman, or one of them. And then beyond that, Justice League Mortal, I'm really curious about. It's funny, I'm actually sometimes more interested in earlier drafts where movies would be better. So, like, I know this isn't a fair way to answer it, but I would much prefer to get to see the original draft of '89 made the way Sam Hamm wrote it than seeing any unmade superhero movie that didn't actually get off the ground.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thing. I answer this the same way every time. We've answered this before. I always say Hellboy 3 and Amazing 3. But I also had a thought like that where I would have loved to see the Incredible Hulk movie that Norton wanted to make.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to see his version. But that movie's already a movie. It's not a canceled movie.
But to actually answer the real question and give you a second one, Supermax is in there. The Green Arrow Supermax movie.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mentioned that. But yeah, great question. Thanks for the super chat. So John Cunning says he would love to see the original draft for Batman Forever.
Yeah, AMC Comics in the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever. I don't believe that script exists.
Wow.
If it does, I would really like to read it.
Jedi Knight, I'd watch Feige's Inhumans movie.
I also would like to, and this is divisive and some people won't agree with this, but I also want to read whatever the original script actually looked like for Dark Knight Rises, because I don't care what Nolan says, the script that they shot is not the first thing that was written. There has to be another draft of that movie. There has to be, and I would love to see that. They put out a script book, and there are a couple of differences here and there in the script that they gave us, but they pretend like they shot it that exactly the way it was. I don't believe them.
Mr. Botto. He's really on Smallville tonight. Thanks for the great questions, Mr. Otto, by the way. They've been good tonight.
It's the 20th anniversary, and people are frustrated with me for not getting the Smallville content out yet this year, and I have not figured out any time to work on it and what exactly I'm doing yet. So I got some time. I'm hoping to do some Smallville stuff this year beyond the comics, but yeah, go ahead.
He says, in the Smallville comic verse, is there a Captain Logan?
What? In the Smallville comic verse? No.
Is there a character called Captain Logan in that?
No.
What is he talking about?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But no, there's not a character called Captain Logan in that.
He's just reviewing things.
he got hit with a meteor rock upside the head.
Now he has to review everything,
and it made him. It gave him a compulsion to read or to review, and now he can write slightly faster.
He's just reviewing articles on the Blue Blur all the time.
The Blue Blur. It could have been worse. Like we always said, they should have changed the title to Metropolis. They could have called it the Blue Blur, or they could have called the comics that.
That was great. 5590S 199 favorite Justice League comics.
So I am, full disclosure, not a big Justice League reader and not a big team book reader in general. I like my X-Men to some degree. I'm not a huge X-Men guy in comics, but when it comes to teams, that's the only one that I've ever actively really read much of. And even that's spotty, of course. I've always been more about singular characters, but I've always been really interested in Morrison's run. I've just started recently reading that. As far as Justice League runs I've actually read, I don't think I've ever read an entire one. I obviously started Jeff Johns' run back in New 52 and hated that first arc, and came back to it a couple times, and it gets better later. But yeah, I'm not a big Justice League reader. So I don't have a great answer to that. It's a big blind spot for me.
So Bag Studios was interested in our topic earlier. He did ask us a while
Oh,
ago.
sorry, Cinematographic. You're right. The red blue blur. Excuse me. We weren't on the nose enough.
The red and blue blur.
No, they didn't even put "and" in there. It was the red blue. That's what it was on the newspapers and everything.
That's terrible. Bag Studio. We do like
Blue Dragon 5.
Promise.
I've read a couple of issues of Tower of Babel, but I wasn't going to come right out and say that because it would be disingenuous. I've never read all of Tower of Babel. I know that story. I know what's in it, but I've never sat down and read because that's in Morrison's run, and I'm wanting to read that whole run. So, similarly, and this is not exactly a Justice League thing. I read some of the miniseries, the big event Legends. From the 80s, which is kind of a Justice League story, but I didn't mention that because, again, I've never actually read all of that. I had disparate issues of these things where I had like 3 or 4 of like a 6 or 8 issue arc, but I didn't have all of it, so I didn't read them all.
So Bag says, with books, I want to read the story of a book, but also mostly for an achievement of having read it.
Yes.
I also have a problem with memory, where if I read 3 chapters, by the next time I have time to read, I have to reread 2 of them. Luckily, I don't have that as much with comics, so I read them more. So yeah, he has the same thing I have, and then he also has the memory thing, which is, I feel like, another thing.
The suggestion I would give you is that not everyone learns and retains information the same way. So, as much work as this sounds like, and I don't mean go meticulous, consider keeping yourself more engaged while you're reading by occasionally taking notes. And I don't mean the sort of notes where like you're about to write a book report or something. I just mean when a new character shows up, write that character's name down. When you get into a new major location, write down that location. Write down quotations that you find interesting. It may simply be a matter of your being a tactile learner as much as a visual or auditory learner. I have the same problem, and I find that helps quite a bit. If I write things down, I tend to commit them more to memory, and I tend to commit the whole thing better to memory, even things that I'm not writing down. It keeps me more engaged, and you may find that you have the same thing. That may be your thing. Who knows?
I definitely have that too. And Bag, he's not saying you don't even have to look at the notes. You just have the act of writing it down.
It's the act
is
of
what
writing it
helps
down.
it.
You could throw that piece of paper away as soon as you're done with it.
Yeah, me and Cap have talked about this for commentary sometimes. I remember I took notes for the Wonder Woman commentary, and I didn't even really read them while we were doing it, but just writing those down made it stick in my head a little bit more. So try it, maybe. Or don't.
That's a suggestion, but yeah. More power to you, whatever you want to do.
Super Billy 499. Will they ever incorporate the Sentry into the MCU? Is the character and his backstory too dark, psychological, and incongruous with MCU continuity?
I think we're too far gone from anybody caring about that character. If we suddenly threw it in now, I'd be real surprised. Like, there was a period of a year right at the end of the 2010s where the Sentry kept showing up and stuff. I don't know anything about that character, by the way, because it was right before I was buying Current, and I remember hearing people on YouTube talking a lot about the Sentry in comic circles, and I was like, who the heck's that guy? And by the time I started buying new comics, I never got to find out because they weren't putting him in books anymore. And yeah, I would be surprised if he suddenly showed up. I don't know enough about him to tell you if I think he's too dark for the MCU or not, but I would be suspicious of their even considering it, because I don't think they would expect anybody to care about that. Now, having said that, they've obviously used characters for various reasons that nobody's interested in right now that they get interesting. I don't know what the angle is with Sentry. I don't know what the point of bringing that in would be right now. Besides, we just need new superheroes in our movies.
right, John Ty, $10. I feel like Thor might be the longest running movie franchise for a single character in the MCU, and the Fantastic Four will probably replace the Guardians in the MCU for a cosmic team.
I actually don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that the Fantastic Four will stay mostly Earthbound and will occasionally have space adventures. I sure hope that we go to space with the Fantastic Four. But I think that the Guardians will keep changing members. I don't think we will retire them. And part of the reason I'm saying that is because of a quote that... that Gunn gave a while back. I think even before he got fired, and then later, of course, rehired, where he said his third movie was going to be the last one utilizing that cast, implying that he had every intention of replacing that cast with another one and making more Guardians movies. And it could be that the MCU ends up not doing that, and that they don't have any plans for more Guardians past 3. But the nice thing about a team versus a character, and even like a mantle you pass down, is it's a lot easier to just keep trading members out. I also think that there's every possibility that Guardians could retain a member or two. You keep Groot around because he's basically just a special effect. But maybe Rocket. But you get rid of characters with actors that contracts end, or they get old enough that they don't want to deal with that character at a certain age. But that's what I think they'll do. I think they'll recast, not recast, but they'll put new characters on that team.
People very interested in this topic tonight. Another person, Lewis Cox. What if Superman landed in Japan instead of America?
Japan. Every time somebody says Japan, I've been playing various Capcom fighters somewhat recently, and when you play the original, what's it called? Why can't I think of things today? What has happened with my brain is just all of a sudden gone. What is wrong with me? Street Fighter. When you play Street Fighter, when you play Street Fighter 2, there's this hilarious voiceover with this announcer that says the names of places that you go, and he's always you go to Japan, he goes Japan. But anyway, my answer to that is it depends on the era. What is Superman like, especially in the 20th century, raised pre-1945 versus post-1945? That's kind of the big question. Because obviously you've got, imperialist Japan is really different from post-occupied Japan or occupied Japan, and both of those things would be very, very interesting. I don't immediately know what that character would be like exactly, but if he grows up after 1945, he would almost certainly read comic books.
That'd be cool.
I can tell you that.
Philip Kelton, 50 Mexican pesos. I want to see the universe where Disney didn't extend the copyright/public domain lapse. Also, the Snyder Cut is getting good reactions.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about this, or did we talk about this earlier in the show? I think we did. It's been an hour. I don't know. It's been it's been almost 2 hours already.
2 hours.
Wow, geez, where did all the time go? That's why I'm fading. It's been almost 2 hours already. So I'll answer that first thing, or that second thing first real fast, because we already talked about that earlier, but I'm not taking any stock in that, because early reviews are often really super positive for things that I ultimately really, really dislike. That is not me saying that there's no chance at that movie being good just because the reviews are overall positive. That would be a dumb thing to say. However, just based on what we've seen in those trailers and what Snyder has talked about, and how much he's trying to, it seems like, make a thing for people who love BVS. I don't expect to ultimately love that movie, or if I do, it won't be for the right reasons. I'm really still expecting basically more BVS with a somewhat more lighthearted tone and some cracks and one-liners, that kind of thing. But it got it got some rave early reviews. But what I have heard, because I'm not reading them, but what Austin and a couple other people told me is that a lot of those reviews kind of read like, "Yay, we got new superhero movies to talk about," and so they just automatically go positive because A, there's something to talk about, and B, because it's not the theatrical cut, and anything that's at all removed from that automatically has to be good, and that there's less written about the movie itself and more written about just where the world is right now in some of those reviews. So yeah, I'm not taking any stock in that at all, but that doesn't mean that I don't hope to be totally proven wrong. I hope so, but I don't think I will, but I hope so.
I love this next question. It might be the most specific super chat we've ever gotten.
What was the first part of that, though? There was
Oh, yeah, you're right. He wants to see the universe where Disney didn't extend the copyright public domain lapse.
Be interesting. That would be a world where copyright law would probably be more simplified, and we would understand more of it. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when you say that. But yeah, I don't know if that would just create like crazy mass chaos, or if it would just make people a lot really creative and imaginative with properties, and if it might even encourage people to try to make more original IPs and things. Or maybe not too, because they know that after 25 years the copyright goes away. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know what that world looks like.
Be very interesting. That'd be a good breakdown video if we really think about it. I love this next super chat. John Kelling, what's WB's problem with marrying off live action?
I wish you just stopped it there. What's WB's problem? Question mark.
No, we're about to get to a very specific problem.
Okay.
What's WB's problem with marrying off live-action Green Arrows with made-for-TV characters? We've had it 2 in a row. Good luck to the next Black Canary.
I don't know why they make a lot of the decisions they make. That's a good point, though. Yeah, made-for-TV characters they made up in the first place. Yeah. I don't know.
CW, man.
Yeah, thanks for the super chat. I don't have anything insightful to
Very
say.
insightful.
It's been too long since I've been real caught up in those shows, but
let me jump back to some pre-written. That was the last super chat I have, so if you want to do a last call there, I think we're coming pretty close on time.
Yes. Yeah, how many more super chats do we have?
That's the last one.
Oh, that was the last one. Okay, I'm sorry. You probably just said that and I missed it. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I apologize.
I'm going to jump back to the first one I saw, which was from Cinematographic. Cap, would 2012's Dredd be better received if it not only came out instead of Judge Spartan, but was the only Dredd movie we had? Some people think Stallone's Dredd is superior.
That's weird. I've never heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
Well, the character in that movie is called John Spartan. That's what he's talking about.
You like calling it Judge Spartan? Okay.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. That movie was very well received. Just not a lot of people saw it. Like, received is different from box office take, from like how many people actually went and saw it. If that had been the only thing we'd gotten, I think it would have done exactly what it did. In fact, it might have done worse because there wouldn't have been any name recognition, any brand recognition. The 90s movie was a star vehicle. The money the money that did make had nothing to do with Judge Dredd, or had very little to do with Judge Dredd. It had a lot more to do with Stallone. It was a Stallone star vehicle, and it looked like some other kind of dystopian type sci-fi. Or even post-apocalyptic stuff that was coming out right then. It was yet another kind of Blade Runner, knockoff kind of movie. But yeah, so if we just had Dredd, I mean, that didn't have the star power behind it, and it's a great movie, and I haven't met really anybody that saw that and didn't like it.
Yeah,
I've never heard anybody say the original Judge Dredd is better than Dredd. I don't know where that's coming from, if that's true, and if that's an opinion people have, more power to them. Whatever. The original Judge Dredd is fun. It's not the worst thing ever. It's got massive story issues, certainly, but it's fun.
All right.
And
Blue
yes, Yellow
Dragon.
Dragon, you're right. It was undermarketed. There was talk for a while about a like Carl Urban was trying to get a TV show off the ground, and I haven't heard anything about that in a long time. Like a Netflix thing or something. I think that immediately does better on TV. I think that could absolutely build traction, and people, word of mouth can find out about that on television. But as far as a thing that needs to make a lot of money in its first week or two coming out, it's I don't know what that came out against, but it was in the middle of the summer, I think, if memory serves, and that's going to be a really hard thing to sell. You want to do one more?
Uh, yeah, we'll do one more. This is a tough one, but you've been in this world, so
Oh
Blue
God.
Dragon 5. If you could make one singular change to each of the DCEU films from Man of Steel to Justice League, what would each of those alterations be?
So I will answer this question. I will attempt to answer this question. There's a part of me that doesn't want to, only because it's so interesting that you asked it that way, you phrased it that way. Because I've been considering DJ making this a video, not just specifically the DCEU movies, but I've been thinking about I might do this now. I don't know. I've been thinking about putting out feelers and having you just reminded me about this and having the
You're welcome.
audience throw me movies that they most would like to know what changes I would make to, and it would be, and the video would be, it would be a rewind, and it would be called something along the lines of if I could change one thing, or if I was in charge or something. And it would be you go into the movie and you try to come up with the one thing that you could tweak story wise that would make the story that is being told a lot better, that you could improve it. So you couldn't change anything that would make it a different piece, a different story. It would have to be something within the story as it is that would make it a better story. So I've already been thinking about doing this. So
Wow.
answering that right now feels funky because because I might be doing this later on. But so, which movie specifically? Just the beginning of the DCEU?
He just
Was this
says
Man of Steel
from
to
Man of
Justice
Steel to
League?
Justice League, yeah, the whole DCU. But maybe you could just pick. You've been in the Snyderverse, so maybe you can
But did
just
he
do
say
the
for
one.
each movie or just one change in that block of movies? That's what I'm not getting.
No, he says one singular change to each of the movies.
To each of them separately.
Yeah.
Okay. Man of Steel, I would simply either, and this is the obvious thing. I want to say not the tornado. That's what I want. That's what I want to say. It's a toss up. It's hard to say if it would be make um make Jonathan's principles and feelings clearer, or get rid of the neck snap, or make it in obvious inevitability where there was no way around the neck snap. Just make that less contrived. One of those two. I'm not sure which one it would be. Um, and then BVS. So I got to do this for each of them, right?
If you want to. I mean, you
Well,
can
like he
always.
asked the question, I'll do it. I mean, I'll absolutely do it, and then we'll finish up with this. Will be the last thing. This is a great last question, by the way. We'll do this now. I reserve the right to change any of this if I ever make that video.
Real quick, we got one super chat. That's just a yes or no. If you want to
Absolutely.
do this before. Okay, so Philip Kelton,
Sure.
have you seen Invader Zim?
No, I've never seen that show.
Okay.
I know there's people that love it and swear by it, but I've never watched them.
Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, I'm so spotty with animation. Anyway, okay, so I had a friend that was obsessed with that show, but I've never watched
Okay.
it. BVS is tricky because there's so much. I guess it would be well, it would have to be like, yeah. I was going about 4 or 5 different directions. I almost said like make Superman not monosyllabic and like actually Superman. I think it would be though, just get rid of all of the Lex Luthor manipulation plot past the initial framing device. And by framing device, I mean framing Superman. Lex comes in, he makes not a framing device of the piece. Lex comes in, he makes everybody think that Superman killed some people overseas. Go, and that's all he does. Or if he does the kryptonite thing, that's the only other thing he does. But he's not trying to make Batman and Superman have a big fight. That happens organically and naturally, and they do it themselves. That would be the big thing with that. Do I have to go to Suicide Squad?
That's one of them.
Okay.
I don't know what one thing you could change.
actually, I have an answer to this.
Oh, perfect.
So there's a thing that's right there to me with Suicide Squad, and this one is maybe unfair. Just working under my own terms, because I don't want to completely change the piece. People couldn't believe that Joker was in that movie and was kind of superfluous and wasn't actually part of that story. And there's a really easy way to make him really integral to that story. And that is, and I think I've said this before, and when I do the rewind eventually, this is going to be one of the big things I talk about. All you have to do is have Joker get a hold of Waller's phone. Because Waller has a phone where she's got an app, because there's an app for everything, where she can press a button with her phone, and that's what kills each of the members of the Suicide Squad. What happens if Joker gets that phone? And isn't that so much more interesting than anything in that movie? Like, if Joker gets that phone, now he's the villain of the piece, but now he's in charge of the Suicide Squad. The Joker now can try to make anybody in the Suicide Squad do anything they want to. And then doesn't that make Harley Quinn's relationship with him really interesting, because now she's divided between him and the Suicide Squad? Just give him the phone. So that's my answer. Give him the phone. That's all you got to do.
Sweet.
The Wonder Woman is simple. You take out 80% of Ares' dialogue in the third act.
Well, Wonder Woman is the only one that I have an answer for, and I would take out Ares. I would love it if it was what I thought it was, where she does all that and then she find out that it's not Ares, and just to deal with the fact that man is complicated. But yeah, we talked about that on the commentary. That's what
we did. And I'm of two minds about that, because I want there to be Greek mythology in those movies. So,
well, I mean, there still is. He's just not behind humankind today. Obviously, she would still be a god or whatever. But
and then Justice League, it's hard to. It's a tie with Justice League, and it's funny because one of these is going to seem smaller than the other. It's a tie between henchmen shouldn't be villains. It obviously, like anybody but Steppenwolf. Anybody but Steppenwolf. And the other thing is, Bruce Wayne doesn't go around getting all the Justice League as Bruce Wayne. Tells everybody who he really is.
All right, well, I think we nailed it. Shazam?
No, he said up to Justice League, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, that's right. Because we could do some Aquaman.
If I have to do it with everything else. Shazam, I don't know well enough to say. I've seen that movie, I think, one time, and I liked it well enough. I don't know what I would change for that. Aquaman, I would save all of the story of the 2nd to 6th films for those movies.
Oh, Aquaman. Such an overachiever, that Aquaman.
Just make the whole, like, they want to do a Trench spin-off, just make that movie The Trench in the first place, right? Like, that was the first arc of Jeff Johns' run. I liked what the Trench and the piranha demons creatures looked like in that. Like, hey, The Trench, Aquaman versus The Trench, you're done. Anyway, all right. Well, we are at the 2-hour mark. This has been a really fun show. Thank you guys. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
I certainly did. I don't want to speak for DJ, but I had a good time.
Don't speak for me. But I also did have a good time, guys. Good Tuesday show.
It was a good Tuesday show. We'll be back with you again this Thursday.
Oh, Philip Kelton did pop back in and say, "Shut up, go watch Invader Zim." I think it was the Valley Girl in the 90s way of saying shut up, like you can't believe that you haven't seen it.
My favorite
I don't think
thing,
he was actually talking.
You know what? I don't care, though. I don't get offended by that. I love it. I talk for a living, and my favorite thing is, God, Cap, you just talk too much. Shut up. Like, I love it. So, what do you want, dead air? You clicked on a video that was 2 hours long. Like, I know you guys are watching live, but...
Just go watch Invader Zim for the rest of the show.
That's so funny to me. Anyway,
And then, TH1 just popped in with another super chat. They don't want us to leave tonight. What is the worst comic team?
Say it again.
The worst comic team.
Oh, God. Tom, right at the end, man. We're trying to leave. I already started the outro music. We're going to get copyright flagged. We already did, probably. That's what's playing.
Oh, dang.
I can't hear it. But, the worst comic team... I can't say. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe you stump me with that. Oh, you know what? No, I know what it is. It's the Youngbloods. It's the Youngbloods. You just said comic. It didn't have to be big too. Anyway, so we'll be back on Thursday night for another one of these, and then Friday night. Oh, and by the way, we're not going to have an After Dark this week because we've got so much else going on. So we're going to table it this time. And next week is Endgame, so it may be a couple of weeks. I don't know. Maybe we'll make up for it by doing 2 in a row at some point. I'm not sure, but it may be a couple weeks before we get another After Dark. We've got so much else going on, and I just don't have the time for 2 5-hour stretches sitting in a chair 2 nights in a row. Friday night is the watch party. This music's really loud. Friday night is the watch party for the Snyder Cut, and Sunday is the spoiler cast for the Snyder Cut. So look forward to all of that and more. New Rewind for you on Friday for the 5 people that care about the Lego Justice League movies. I'm reviewing the best one, I think, the Legion of Doom one. So that's on HBO Max if you want to check it out before the Rewind comes out. And in the meantime, thanks a lot for watching, folks. I'm going to talk closer to the microphone because this music's really loud. Thanks a lot for watching, folks, and we'll see you again on Thursday. I was Captain Logan, and that was DJ Martinez. And please consider checking out the Discord. We're having a lot of fun in there, and I jump in there once or twice a day at least, and you might see me in there chatting. So say hello, and we'll talk about something. And I'll see you later. Thanks for watching, folks.